I'm a rock and roll singer in a rock and roll band. Rock and roll woman you are. I met you on Monday, made love to you on Sunday in the back of a rock and roll car. If you can take some advice I'm giving, tell you what you should be. An ordinary woman with a certain kind of something that can take you away from me. Ordinary woman with a certain kind of something that can take you away from me. Rock and roll singer don't get too much of love. Oh, I have a lot of things to do. I make a lot of money, I spend it on myself. I ain't got too much time for you. And if I make the big time, I'll tell you what you should be. An ordinary woman with a certain kind of something that can keep you away from me. An ordinary woman with a certain kind of something that can keep you away from me.
Wheelie Festival 1971, opening that coveted historic rock event were Hackensack. So how did that all come about?
Well, again, I think it was down to Ireland. Our manager had negotiated a deal with Ireland, and that was the actual day, Friday, was the day we signed with Ireland. So we'd been into Ireland to sign contracts with Muff Winwood in the afternoon, and then we all got in the van and we drove off to Wheelie.
Just like that.
Just like that. We didn't. I mean, I don't think we were informed. We got a gig at Wheelie. We were opening the show at a festival, and that's probably as much as we knew. There'd been a few write-ups in the paper saying who was going to be on, things like that. But we just drove up and went there. The traffic was pretty horrendous, which explains why a lot of the other bands hadn't arrived by the time we were on stage, and that's why they asked us to play extra time.
Amazing. Just when you look back, because obviously you didn't know at the time that this was going to be a pretty big deal in the rock, history. But those bands, you didn't really know who was going to be there or what.
Not really. It
big
was
old T-Rex
of
faces.
Yeah, and I think the program changed.
They did. They kept adding more bands.
Yeah, I think
everyone offered their services.
We went on the Friday at midnight, and the things I remember about it were that there were lots of video cameras all over the stage. Quite off-putting when you got people shoving a camera up your nose. It was, and that video has never appeared. I've never seen any of that.
This is something that we'd like to put a shout out to. I mean, I'm sure BBC Essex has done in the past, but you never know. Somebody might be listening that hasn't listened to previous broadcasts. So if you were there, if you did film anything, we'd quite like to hear from you. We'd quite like to see it, particularly if it was of Hackensack.
I'd like to just say there is some film that I've seen from that event, and it was of a band called Gnidrolog. They were a progressive rock band, and there is a short clip of them that's on YouTube, I believe.
Oh, okay, that's something, isn't it?
Yeah.
But we want more. There must be more. I mean, obviously, well before the days of mobile phones, but you can imagine it would all be there now, wouldn't it? All catalogued now. But I don't know what people would have recorded it on back then. Cine cameras, I guess, maybe.
Well, I think they were the early video cameras.
Yeah.
Big things. But the other thing that was distinctive about that was that we played a couple of songs, and then they said I had some complaints from Clacton that everything was too loud. 9 miles away.
9 miles away. Wow.
I had to turn the stuff down.
But that's when you know you've got it right. They can hear us in Clacton. This is all good. And you've brought in, this is just gold dust, the Wheelie Festival of Progressive Music programme of the occasion. 5p this would have cost you back then. And all lovely adverts and details of the band and the whole event there at Wheelie. And I particularly like this advert here. It says, are you a DJ? Do you want more bread for no more sweat? Right to this address in Colchester. I wonder if that's still active. I might try for that. So how much did you get for that appearance?
Well, in my diary it says we got extra. They doubled our money for playing extra time, and we came away with 50 quid between us.
50 quid, a lot of money back in '71.
It would have been at least 600-700 in today's money, I would think. Yeah, which was okay.
Yeah. Do you remember what you spent it on, or were you quite good at saving money back then?
I think we just spent it on. Yeah, well, we didn't spend money on anything nice. It was paying the rent and paying the petrol and
all the boring stuff.
All the boring stuff, yeah. Strings and guitars and paying the roadie and, it just...
Yeah. All the peripherals.
Yeah.
All the incidentals that people don't think of in rock and roll. And you're talking about diaries and hopefully getting a book out documenting Hackensack and Wheelie. How's that coming along?
There's so much data, it's quite difficult to process. So I'm trying to get it all into spreadsheets, and because I would really like it to be accurate.
Yeah.
I kept, although the diaries were small, I kept a page a day. And every gig has got a small report on where it was and how much we got paid and
Brilliant.
Whether it went well, whether we got an encore or not. And so over 400 gigs are all recorded. And I would like it to be as accurate as possible.
Absolutely.
An archive, if you like.
I can see it. Stu Mills Hackensack Diaries.
Well,
yeah,
yes, yeah.
Look forward to that.
Yeah, it would be good, but it's very hard to get your head around.
And Pete, I must just ask you this question. You'll know about this, being a historian of the band. Hackensack, where did that name come from? I know it's a place in New Jersey.
It was a Thelonious Monk song that the band named themselves after, not knowing that at the time because they thought it was a recording studio. But it was quite an eye-catching name at the time.
Yeah,
It was.
good.
That was the thing. We just liked the sound of the name. We didn't realise that Thelonious Monk had named it Hackensack because it was recorded in Hackensack Studios in Hackensack, New Jersey.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
But the other thing was that the Americans have a saying, which is, I don't come from Hackensack. And that means I wasn't born yesterday.
Yeah, right. Gotcha. Love it. And there's new vinyl. This is what we like to hear, ladies and gentlemen, round about here. And tell us the story of how this new Hackensack album came about, Pete.
I contacted Nicky Moore in the mid-90s and was quite surprised by the amount of unreleased demos that they had recorded for Ireland in order to get a deal. And so I issued them on 2 CDs. The first was the studio material called Give It Some, and also a live set from Basel in Switzerland that Stu had the master tape, or half of the master tape. So we did a live CD called Live the Hard Way, which is pretty decent sound quality. And then just recently, because of the interest in the band, I decided to reissue Give It Some on heavy vinyl, 180 gram vinyl in gatefold sleeve.
And here it is. Yeah, it looks beautiful.
Yeah, it's limited to 500 numbered copies.
Yeah.
And
Look at that.
we're hoping to follow it up with another studio release next spring, which is provisionally titled Hackensack Rocks OK, which was a strapline that they used to use back in the day.
Yeah.
And as I mentioned to you off air, with a large dose of luck, possibly some new Hackensack material with
nice.
Nicky Moore on vocals.
Yes. And Stu?
And Stu on bass, and hopefully Ray Major on lead guitar.
All boys back together. This is just a beautiful piece of work. This is number 34, ladies and gentlemen, in this limited edition of only 500, which you can get from various outlets. We know for a fact that Fives, our dear friends at Fives, Sandra and Tony at Leon C, are stocking this. So if you want to get in quick with a copy, then give it some. Fives from Hackensack. What can we close with, Stu, from your canon of work?
Well, I think the A-side from the Island single is... It's worth another play. It was John Peel's play of the week So it got played every day on his show on Radio 1 back in 1972. And we had high hopes for this. It was written by Mick Ralphs from Mott the Hoople, who we knew very well. And Mick Ralphs actually plays slide guitar on this. And I still think it's a great single. So
listen, if John Peel likes it, it's got to be good. The great man himself. This is Hackensack on Vintage Vinyl on BBC Essex. Pete and Stu, thank you so much. Nice to see you.
No problem, thank you.
Time is getting tight, heading for the airport bar. I gotta show tonight. Moving on from town to town. Well, I'm moving on, feeling heavy on the ground. Checking to the ticket desk, a half an hour to go. Heading for the boarding gate, feeling pretty low. 15 minutes later, I'm sitting on a plane. I'm fastening my safety belt, take it off again.